Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey toward publication. I'm Christina Catane. I write in multiple genres, including Christian dystopian fiction.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction.
I want to give a big thank you to everyone tuning in and to all of you listening live. A big thank you to all of you on iTunes, any of the other platforms where we make our audio available. And if you're on YouTube and you want to like and subscribe and hit that little bell, then you'll never miss an episode of our podcast. So we like to start our podcast with a segment called What's Up? And so I am going to pick on Rhonda and make her go first in our What's Up segment.
Okay. Well, what's up with me is more of the same stuff, more social media. And that's not just for the podcast. I'll talk about that later, but just for the museums. And I'm just doing social media for 1,000 people right now. And so what else is up? Gardening, lots of rain the last couple of weeks. I would kind of like to know if Jamie has a reason why she's the one in Florida, but we're getting the hurricane rain.
I know, right?
I live in the bubble. It's
Apparently.
weird. We watch weather and it sort of evades us. It's really strange. We watch the patterns come across and then the weather will go whoop and it will just skip us. It's very strange. We like it.
Yeah.
I did lose power for an hour. And my kids called me and they said, Mom, the power's out. I'm like, I don't know. There's a hurricane. My husband's like, isn't that in like Louisiana? I'm like, still, there's a hurricane. So for all we know, something got blown away that made our power go out. Like deal, children. But they did not like that answer. Anyway, it was only out for like an hour, which I don't think had anything to do with the hurricane. Oh, that's right. I got a message from Duke. Something had touched the lines that made it go.
Who's Duke?
Duke is our
Power.
energy company down here. Yes.
Oh,
Yes, it's not John Wayne. John Wayne did not call me up, say, well, little Missy, sorry about your power going out. That would be nice. They should have his voice call you when your power goes out. No need to worry, Pilgrim.
My grandpa always reminded me of Duke. Like, so when you read my stories and you read Reverend Albright, if you get a little bit of John Wayne there, then like that's actually pretty good because hopefully big guy, kind of slow talking.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What's up with you, Bambina? You're the host, so no one usually asks the host, so I'll break the tradition. I'll ask you.
Well, I just saved the podcast just this minute.
What
I
happened?
wonder what was going on.
Yeah.
My computer came unplugged, and I got this alert from my computer that my battery was about to die. So,
Oh,
Nice save, Tina.
Anyway, well, I have a big announcement to make about my What's Up. I am done with all the edits that got sent to me from the editor.
Yay!
So happy.
So exciting. We knew this day was coming.
Yeah.
She hinted at it yesterday for us. But,
Yeah, I did. I hinted at it, and I hinted at it in a post I put on Facebook with my the late great Sasha, the dog that we had, and the picture of her sitting in the chair at the dining room table next to Michael while he did his homework.
aw.
It was just really cute.
Aw.
So, but I can't really. That's really my What's Up. As I'm on to the next step, and I'm excited about it. And also in our Write It Better contest, you have. Not very long. The end of the podcast, we're announcing a winner to go vote.
Oh, I haven't read mine yet.
I
Well,
actually wrote one
Rhonda,
this week.
I think you're out of luck.
I'll have to just vote then this time. Shoot. I love that little game.
I finally did it only because Jamie looked lonely over there. So,
Well, we had a listener
oh, good.
who entered, and a bunch of people voted for her. So
Ooh,
I'm gonna go
good.
vote for her too because it doesn't even matter. I just don't want to be one of us to win.
Yeah, go over there. Those of you who are in chat who have no idea what we're talking about, Tina, tell them what we're talking about.
if you go to our Facebook page, Christian Indie Writers Podcast Facebook page, every Friday, I have been posting a Write It Better. It's a little contest. There's no prizes but bragging rights. And I put a purposely bad prompt up there of purposely bad writing, and you're supposed to write it better. And whoever gets the most hearts wins bragging rights.
And Tina's little prompt languished there for quite a while before I entered. I just felt so bad that nobody else was. I'd really rather only vote, but I will take a stab at it. I enjoy the challenge.
It would be great if we had enough listeners doing it that none of us could actually enter per the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I agree.
Okay, what about you, John? What's up?
Well, first of all, Shell says, "Yay, Tina!"
Yay, Tina!
Yay.
Finish those edits. That's a big deal.
And her what's up is it's been a crazy week helping my mom tear down at her shop and moving lots of stuff home since she's retiring. It's happy, sad, stressful, all at the same time. Still writing a bit every day. Well, that's good.
Good
then.
for
if
you,
can
Shell.
Still write every day, then that's really good. My what's up? I don't know. I've been showing up and working every day like I'm supposed to. I'm progressing in lots of different areas. Newsletter is going good. Weather here is rainy, which I don't dislike. I actually kind of like these kind of dreary, rainy days.
Well, living in a rainforest like you do, I would hope so.
Yeah, don't wear camo to the podcast or you'll disappear.
This is just kind of some fodder for those that watch us every week and remember the episode. Is it an addiction to like love plants this much?
Yes.
So, I don't know. Anywho, so that's all that's up with me. Honestly, I just keep working along. I opened up book 4 this week, like I promised I was going to, and I couldn't get out of it. Like I loved it. Like it's like reading a book that you had put down, like you finished it, then you went back and read it again, and like I'm remembering things, and like there's so much I forgot. It's been a while, so I'm excited about getting that book out too. So probably 2 before the end of the year.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh,
Okay,
Piper says, sorry, we got a little bit of lag. Piper says her what's up, still kitchen reno. Oh, hoping to finish the big stuff of the DIY portion this weekend. So much work. William J says, what's up? Working on a backlog of content for my website. That's a lot. I don't put things on my website. Mine's just basically a business card. I don't have a blog or anything.
I've got to say, hats off to Brian Carruthers, who won our little contest. I noticed he was like retweeting and sharing that we were going to be going live. And we really appreciate all of those efforts that you guys are continuing to make to spread the word about the podcast. We really want to help more people. So when you share and let people know to like and subscribe, you're really just lifting as you climb. So let the world know about the podcast like Brian is. Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate you, Brian.
Oh, I guess I have to say my what's up before we can keep going.
Yep.
My what's up is, okay, so I've been typing my sprints live. Well, guess what? I typed my whole sprint and I was not live the whole time today.
Aww.
I was very sad. So anyway, I did go on and type, oh, sorry, everyone, but then I just deleted it. So if you were looking forward to seeing me do my sprint live, I just totally biffed trying to like I didn't push the go live button, I guess. I don't know. So I really apologize that didn't happen this week. But hopefully next week I will not have a technical error. But that's my what's up.
Fun.
All right.
Okay, so this week's topic is social media etiquette. So Jamie, why don't you tell us why you wanted to have this conversation?
Well, I write the newsletters for our podcast, and if you follow, if you like and subscribe, you'll get the newsletter every week. It's sort of an introduction to what the episode has in store. So I shared this story of when I was in middle school. I went out for softball. Okay. I was like not an athletic kid. Like I read for fun. Okay. But I was enthusiastic about softball. I knew what it was kind of all about, but I hadn't played. So this is like a city league or something. I don't even remember. It could have been junior high. Like that's how unsports that I cared. Anyway, I was out there in right field and my dad yelled, "Hey kid, your fly's down." Now, my dad would, as a teenage boy, would want to know and would want to be alerted. So he thought he was doing me a solid, but I was a teenage girl. So I was like, oh, in front of everybody. And like, I just like crushed. So anyway, I used that story just to kind of hilariously do an example of what we're trying not to do. Okay. We're not trying to shout at you. You're being a goofball on social media, but I'm seeing it, okay? So instead of hollering at you from across the field by calling you out publicly, I'm coming to the podcast to tell you like an open letter. Look, don't be that guy. Don't be showing up on social media with your fly down, so to speak, and check yours. Check your fly and make sure that you're presenting yourself in a way that you want to be represented on social media. So that's what it's all about, Elfie.
Right, because there's so many like good meaning people, right? Like what are we told
Yeah.
when you first start writing and you start looking into what does it mean to be published? All you hear a lot, like you got to build a platform, build a platform, build a platform. Whether you want to be self-published or traditionally published, you hear that over and over and over again. So people go out there and try to build their platform, and lots of times they are making faux pas that everyone else sees, but you don't know because you're new at it, right? So it's sometimes I think difficult for us that are seasoned in it to like realize that or those that are unseasoned really that there's like certain etiquette that goes along with social media. So that's why we want to do this. So
Right, because there's not any like you don't get a little notice when you sign up for social media. Like here's the do's and don'ts of what you should and shouldn't do.
Well, and go ahead, Jen.
I was gonna say, have you guys ever tried to reach out to someone and say, "Hey, this isn't actually how you're supposed to do it," and like gotten negative response back? Like I've never like it's happened to us once here in the podcast. It's happened to me before. I reached out to somebody who had done that, and like I got negative. So this is our way, I guess, of doing it, and hopefully people will take it with the right heart.
Well, I did tell a guy once on Twitter that Twitter was not a dating service, but then I immediately blocked him, so I don't know what his response was.
Yeah, I'm guessing he wasn't like he knows. I think. Jamie, you've been trying to talk. Go ahead.
No, I was just more or less laughing. But I really feel like so people might come back and say, well, you know, up your nose with a rubber hose, whatever. But I mean, Rhonda said something just before we went live about a completely unrelated circumstance, but it's a lesson that's really been at the forefront of my personal homestead. And that's assume goodwill from the other person. So you're coming at the person and you have goodwill in your heart. You're not trying to embarrass them. Obviously, you're reaching out privately. But assume that they're just ignorant, right? Because that will also frame how you approach them too. If you assume that they're just being spammy, no good nicks, then you might be a little harsh in your help to them. So I just would assume they don't know any better when I reach out.
Right. Trying for other check zipper.
Yes, I do not have a zipper in this outfit. No. From that day, I refused to wear zippers. No, totally kidding. My poor dad felt so bad. And I was like, Dad, I was just embarrassed. My mom's like, honey, it was like drama. Anyway.
Okay, so there's certain etiquette that goes along with social media. And we talked during planning about some of the biggest blunders that people make. So let's share the ones that we came up with. Anybody?
I can start with the one that irritates me the most. Okay. So when you're first starting out on social media, all of a sudden, for instance, Instagram, it's really bad over on Instagram, where you start your page and all of a sudden you have all these followers, people that you didn't even know you were reaching. And anyway, what it turns out to be is they follow people so that you'll follow them back to be friendly, and then they unfollow you. And that's just for them to get their numbers up. And usually it's spammy and it's just advertising, probably things that you don't want to have advertised or in your feed. And anyway, that is my biggest irritant. Do not follow somebody unless you really want to follow them. Don't do it just to get follow backs.
Right.
And because that brings up, oh, sorry, Jamie.
No, you say it, Tina. Go ahead, Tina.
That brings up the spamming issue in general, especially I see this the most on Twitter, where people just post repeatedly over and over again the cover of their book and their blurb, but they never engage with members of a group or the page. And I've noticed myself that most of my contacts on Twitter are other writers. And so it's kind of a waste of time even to be trying to get other writers to buy my book when they're trying to sell their own.
I think that's a really good point to talk about who to follow. Like social media should be fun and it should be social. That's the whole point of the word. So it should be something you enjoy doing that's not a drudgery. So if you're going to follow someone or somebody follows you, the decision to follow them back shouldn't be just because they followed you. It should be like, am I interested in their content? Do I want to interact with this person? When I open up my feed, do I want to see what they have to say? If the answer to those is no, don't follow them back just because you have feel some sort of obligation. And if they unfollow you, okay, Like that's just not your peeps. Like, but on Twitter, I'm the same way. My Twitter followers are mostly writers. So to me, that's more of a business contact. And Instagram is a whole nother thing. So that's why I interact differently on the different social medias. So just be careful about who you follow and have a purpose for why you're following people back. And I follow a lot of people that have nothing to do with my career. I just think they're funny, or I'm interested in what they have to say, or they share like good stuff. Like I started following a lot of Christian athletes because of a book series that I'm going to start within the next year. And I found that some of them are boring, but I found some of them share really good music in their stories on Instagram. And I keep following them just for the music, just for like new songs that they found.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with sports or has to do with them. It just has to do with that. So,
Yep. And
Well,
then you
I
follow
think-
people like Crowder.
yes. Oh my gosh. Best Instagram account ever.
Yes,
Crowder.
you
You
are
need to go
correct.
follow Crowder. Sorry.
Well, I think that makes a really good point, Jennifer. If we think of social media from the point of view of someone who is the audience of our feed. So imagine you are Susie Q reader and you pick up your Twitter feed and you see 8,000 ads to buy J.R. Nichols' book.
And that's
Are
it.
you happy or sad to hear from J.R. Nichols? But if you see J.R. Nichols coming up in your feed with inspiration, cute animal pictures, things like that, and an invitation perhaps to click over and read something, maybe. But for the most part, I think that we get too focused on this is how to sell books and not enough focused on why it worked in the first place. It worked in the first place because it was a way for fans to connect. And if you're not connecting with people, it's not going to work to sell your books. So you're really misusing the platform if you use it just to spam people.
Agreed. And I think we're going to talk about this later, but because people are there to connect with you as an author, let them connect with you, not some sort of fake image that you like face on a stick that we're famous for here that you think that people should see. Like, let them see you without makeup on. Let them like see like how like crazy your day is. And then you can also show makeup days and you can share things like that. But like, just kind of try to be yourself as much as you're willing to show so they really feel like they are connecting with the author that they're reading.
Yeah, people are looking for transparency, not just in business, but like with my husband being a pastor, that's what a lot of people are looking for, like in a church and things like that. They want transparency and they want down to earthness and real.
So did we want to go through some more of these?
Yes, let's go through some more of these faux pas that we see. Jamie, I know you had one.
Yeah, like the political stuff, like take a breath. I mean, unless you're like Bono or somebody who's got a platform where you're reaching millions, probably people don't care about your opinion yet. Okay. I feel like that's really all I have to say about that. I don't think we want to talk about it for too long. But I think if you're going too far toward one extreme or the other, you could be really hurting yourself more than helping yourself.
Mhm.
Right. And honestly, I don't even care what Bono has to say. So, or any other celebrity. And I think it's just a general rule, not just for politics, but in every area. Don't engage in arguments. And
Good advice.
I'm gonna compare this again with this position that I have of being a pastor's wife and being responsible for helping my husband to spread the gospel to people. If I'm engaging in political arguments or theological arguments or any kind of arguments in public, I may have just offended that person that needs to hear about Jesus.
Right.
And so I have to be neutral in all those kind of things because the only thing that I'm not neutral about should be Jesus. And so I'd like to take that over into my career and say, I might offend the next greatest fan of my book if I'm engaging in politics or arguments or whatever on social media.
Very well said. All right. Something else that I see that I would think that if someone is brand new to Twitter, to social media, I think this is probably the number one mistake I see with brand new Twitter accounts that are writers is the automated response. Do not do not do the automated response. When somebody follows you, they automatically get this response. Thanks for following, blah, blah. Don't do that. Everybody hates it. It is more, it is completely like unsocial. Like social media is to be personal, and it's not personal. And people will automatically unfollow you if you do that. Like, this is something you're not told when you first start out on social media, but I'm telling you right now, people will unfollow you if you do the automated thing. No, they don't care how great you are or how maybe similar you are, or they might be interested in your stuff. If you have an automatic message that sends out to people when they follow you, a majority of people unfollow you.
And I just have to say, because I'm a big believer, especially recently, in boundaries around your personal and professional life. If you train somebody to expect an immediate response from you, well, then guess what standard you're going to be held accountable forevermore. So I would actually not rush to answer every social media contact that you get at first, because you're going to be excited because you're new and someone's reaching out. Keep to your office hours. Address your social media messages in the time that you have relegated for that purpose. Do not become someone who's consumed by checking and responding to those messages just when they come across. You need to be as responsible about that as any person in any career field, and not let your social media take over. Lecture over.
Yeah, I followed an organization one time that I was very interested in. Like, their posts were very engaging and interesting and educational, which I really liked. And the first time that I commented, I got an automatic Facebook message, like messenger message, and asking me to like go to their website or something. And so I ignored it. But then the second time I commented on something, they sent me the same thing. And so I just unliked their page, even though I really liked their content. It was so annoying to keep getting those, like, I couldn't comment on anything without getting these kind of marketing type of messages in my messenger.
Yuck.
Yeah. So don't do that. Okay, what about tagging people?
Oh, well, if you know someone, that's fine. But like, you don't want to tag like, great workout today, hashtag or at Richard Simmons or something if you're not his BFF. Like, unless you know where Richard Simmons is and can reliably report back to the rest of us. Do you guys know that there's like a mystery there? Anyway, the point is, you don't at people who aren't really your homies, right? Because that's just rude. It's like, I don't want to find out that I've been added, at some event that I was no part of. I mean, it's just kind of vogue, if I'm going to be 80s about it.
Nickname for them?
Ooh.
What? You have to clarify, Rhonda. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe I should not.
Okay.
Okay.
So like, if you buy my book and you're like on a cruise reading it and you want to tag me, that's great. Like, that happen, that kind of stuff happens, and I love that. But if you, like Jamie's example, if you had a workout, you were like, great workout, and you tag me, that's the problem. This has happened. Like,
first of all, if you tag me in your workout, everybody will know you're lying.
Right. I'm not there. We know this. But people will tag just to get attention, hoping that people will like it or comment when it has nothing to do with them. That is bad social media etiquette. To tag somebody in something that you think is going to be interesting to them, something that is specific to them, but not just to get their attention, that's different. That's attribution, right? Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, like if they did something really great and you want to share a piece of their art that you were walking by, and then you at them because I thought about you when I walked by your beautiful piece in the museum. Well, they'll like that because you're also lifting as you climb, right?
Yes. I used Jerry Jenkins, an example from his website where he was saying, this is bad setting description. Here's the good one. I think it was setting description. It might have been something different. But I used that in my Write It Better contest. And so I tagged him in that Twitter tweet. Is that right? Because that was his. I mean, I was taking that from his website, and then also it leads people back to his website. And so he's going to be happy about that because that gives him exposure.
Yeah. Awesome.
And he really needs the exposure,
Yeah. If you're reading a book and you're enjoying it, do an Instagram story, do a Facebook Live, show the book, tag the person in it. That is great. That is helping each other. Even if it's someone super famous, that's great too, because they might turn around and reshare it, which Jennifer Allwood did when I did a story. And that's great. I got a couple of new follows for that. It wasn't doing it for that reason, but that's genuine tagging. That's genuine. It's the stuff that you're doing just to try to get your numbers up or to get comments and likes. That is
Okay,
bad social
ladies.
etiquette.
So I would like to know, anyone who wants to answer this question, would you prefer that people post a certain number of times on Twitter every day, or post sporadically when they have something of value to offer for their Twitter? See, like, isn't there a balance between, well, I've got to post 10 times a day, and well, I have to make sure that I'm not being a social etiquette faux pas? So what do you guys think? How do you find that happy medium? Any thoughts?
Well, every platform definitely has their own mores. That's not the word I'm looking for, but
Yeah.
Twitter you would put more. Instagram you would put less.
Stories daily. Instagram now, it used to be you would do posts daily, but now statistics are once or twice a week, maximum 3 times a week, and that's the golden spot for Twitter.
For which one?
For Instagram.
What? How many times a week?
Like once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. For
really? Then I'm killing it. No, just kidding.
Well, because and I have this, and mostly it's friends that are just doing it. They're not doing it as a brand. That they are like, like, for example, you go, like, say you go out to dinner with your husband, and then you do 7 or 8 posts in a row. So then all of a sudden, my feed is the same person in a row. So people want good quality stuff, 1 to 3 times a week in your posts, and then stories every day. Just and which random stuff.
Say one more time. Which platform?
Instagram.
Now, I got to say, ladies, we are going to be focusing on Pinterest coming up next Friday, right? So it's interesting how we talk about each platform has their own peculiarities. And we're going to be talking about Pinterest next Friday. So y'all stick around and you can learn how to perfect your Pinterest pattern.
Shell says, I still have a hard time figuring out what to actually tweet, but I do like following other authors with great content. I think Jamie would have some good advice on that. But to answer your question before we move on, Jamie, as far as Twitter, I think that I would rather have quality over quantity. But if you can do quality, I want a lot of it, like you're doing with us. Like, I love how funny our feed is now and how much I enjoy it. So do you have any advice for Shell? Like how maybe you kind of like re-energize ours?
Yeah. So Shell or anybody, what I would do is I would think about 2 or 3 key areas of your branding. So let's say you write horror, just because it makes it easy for my brain right now. You go around and you look for scary pictures, doesn't matter where or who, and you retweet with a comment and you make it relevant to your brand and yourself in some way. If you can be pithy or witty, all the better. And you hashtag whatever hashtags you like to use, horror writer, am writing, whatever. And as long as it's true to you and what you're selling and what your brand is, it's going to smack as authentic to your particular feed. And then you can get fans of people who never even knew Shell Vest, the author, existed. And before you know it, they'll follow you just because they're actually getting the attention they crave. There's so many people out there on Twitter posting pictures of their cat or their kid or their goat, just wishing someone cared that they took that picture. And that's how you can give someone that little bit of attention they're seeking and possibly build them into a super fan.
And you have such a great knack, Jamie, of finding something funny and cute and then bringing it back to writing. Like, that is like, and it makes sense and it's so good. Love it.
Well, that's why it's easy for me, because it's a business page and not an author page. I'm floundering on my author page, Shell, so you're free to retweet anything I come up with and dig up with the post over there. And I'll be mining from your Twitter feed too. So let's help each other. Tina, what's your advice?
I was just going to say, those authors that she follows with the great content, you can retweet that great content with a comment of your own that makes it personal to you. And that's a great way to come up with content to post.
Yeah, Maria Johnson, who's in our chat all the time, she's a good author to follow for some good content. She's being very active on Twitter lately.
Yeah, I would say 99% of our content on Twitter is Jamie finding stuff to retweet. We're not creating new stuff. Maybe 1% of what we put out there is we've created new. And that's good because people are enjoying what we're doing. Piper says, something that makes me reluctant to watch Instagram stories is that some people will have 10 to 20 bits long. I don't have time for all that. All right, I have something to say about that. So, sorry,
Well, I didn't know it was going to choke you up, Jennifer. Oh, let me tell you a story.
so some days I have like just a couple things, and some days I have a lot. And what I found is that my first story will have the most views, and then after that it goes down. Like, say I have 20 people or 50, whatever, see the first one, and then maybe it goes down to half that, to like 20 people. But those 20 people, every time, it's almost the same people. Every time I do stories, they're there watching every single one of them. Those are your super fans. So yeah, maybe you don't want to watch other people's Instagram stories. You'll find someone. There will be people that you're a super fan of, or people that you really appreciate, or you like their heart, or what they have to share, or you just think they're funny. And you'll probably watch all 10 to 20 of them while you're doing dishes or whatever. But for you, yourself personally, give stories a try, because you will find there will be people that will watch every single one of them. And those are going to be your super fans.
Is she commenting though on the number of stories she's got to watch, or how long some of them are?
The 10 to 20 bits
Some
long.
of them can be so long.
Yeah, some of them are really long. And there are some people that I follow that I just don't even watch their stories because I'm not interested. And there's some people that, like, they're just talking about their kids, but I like them. There's something about them that I like to watch their stories. It's going to be different for everybody. What I enjoy is not going to be the same thing that like Rhonda enjoys or whatever. We're all different people, and that's kind of the cool thing about social media is you can find your peeps.
So I'm guessing a bit is like a second of time.
15,
like
they're all 15 seconds long. So if you ever watch mine, I'll be talking in some. Sometimes I will share posts of other people, and it'll be like just a still shot for like 15 seconds. That's what she's talking about.
I really like this old lady on TikTok who has given her plants names and personalities.
I love her.
And like she has these two plants that had a baby, but the baby looks more like Fernando, which is like a completely different plant over here. Like, it's just hilarious.
That's awesome.
I'm really sorry, but I feel like my question wasn't answered. Piper specifically said some are 10 to 20 bits long, but you said they're all 15 seconds. So how are some too long?
Because when you go through them, like if I do 4, like if I'm like when I'm reading love notes, when I do a scripture in the morning, it may take me 4 15-second pieces. Sometimes it would take me longer, and I would have 30.
So you're saying each bit, people are putting 10 to 20 bits of story like for you to watch next to each other? This is what you're saying.
You don't have to watch them.
Okay, but wait, see, this is where I'm saying brand new people have no idea what you're talking about. So you're saying 10 to 20 bits long. You're saying multiple stories kind of sewn together, like they sewed the Old Testament scriptures together because they found one chunk over here. And so you're saying people are going on and on for 20 stories about one topic?
Not always one topic. If you go to mine right let me pull mine up right now.
I'm just curious about this.
If I'm wrong, Piper, pipe up right now and correct me. But I'm going to go to my stories right now, and then because they only last for 24 hours, and there I am right there. And so I got my. So I
that's
shared.
Another thing. Yeah,
you can't tell on here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but my love story isn't on there anymore, and I haven't done one yet today. So there's the sharing I did of our story yesterday from office hours, and then there's a thing that I shared from someone else's post, and then I'll share some scriptures or something funny. So there might be 10 or 20, but they're not all the same thing. But some people do.
So they're like chapters of your story, your daily story. You could look at it that way. See, I'm just trying to understand what the heck I'm doing and why I would do it. Do you understand?
Right. We probably should do a whole episode on Instagram.
Yeah, let's, because I don't understand.
Piper says, thanks for clarifying that, Jen. I wasn't sure how they all show up like that. I think that I had maybe done 2 stories ever.
Maybe our Pinterest episode will be a little light and we can cover the Instagram story thing too, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. We haven't worked out our Pinterest outline, so.
I would rather do 2 separate ones.
Yeah.
So if somebody is looking specifically for Pinterest or looking specifically for Instagram, they can go to that episode and get information. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of good stuff that authors can do on Instagram. So maybe, yeah, it would be good for us. And then maybe we can have a challenge like we're going to do with Pinterest, have a challenge to our listeners of how to improve their Pinterest. Maybe we can do the same thing with Instagram.
Fun.
Well, I have to say, I was totally clueless, and I have learned a lot today about Instagram.
Me too.
We didn't even mean to. It was
Yeah.
social etiquette. So
Tell your friends about the added value that just comes out of the blue on the Christian Indian Raider podcast.
Good job, Tina.
Now it's time for our favorite segment called the Feeding of the Backs. And if you're like, what in the world does that mean? It's because we kind of made a little joke out of feedback, and we would ask each other, is your back well fed? And so this is the section where we have written for 15 minutes right before the podcast using a prompt. We didn't edit it. We didn't have time to plan it. We just wrote it. And so now we are going to read them to you and give only positive feedback since they are unedited. So who wants to go first?
I will, since I had a tech failure today. I just feel bleh about it. So I will read it. Oh, nope, I guess I won't because mine's gone. Hold on. Yep, got it. Yay.
We got it.
Yeah. Okay. Today's prompt is a sentence. She wanted to tell him, but she knew he would be embarrassed. That was the prompt. We had 15 minutes. Here we go. What do you mean she didn't tell him? Veronica flipped the stub end of her cigarette out the window, then depressed the button to raise it against the drizzle that was starting to fall. It was another dreary day in Detroit, and the bad weather was doing nothing to help lift Veronica's spirits or mine. She wanted to tell him, but she knew he would be embarrassed. You have to admit, it's quite a thing for us to have discovered. I slid the envelope across the bench seat. She picked it up and dumped the contents onto her lap. Sorting through the photographs, she selected a couple of especially compromising ones and clicked her tongue. It is certainly going to get in the way of his run, she scowled. How old is the girl? 22, 23? Veronica did some quick mental math. Good. At least we don't have the underage thing working against us. How do you think we should handle things from here? Well, first of all, we need to tell him. She tucked the photos back into the envelope and slid it back across the bench seat. You need to tell him. This isn't fair, I said. Who do you expect will tell him if not you or your brother? Me? She laughed, a small, hard, derisive sound. So he can frame me as the petulant and vengeful ex-wife? He wishes. She shook her head and lit another cigarette. He'll take it best from you. After all, you're daddy's little girl.
You have to write this book. Jamie. Is this a story you had going already before, or did this just kind of come out and you're like, oh, I didn't even know this was happening?
Cereal in the suburbs coming your way in my newsletter.
Oh,
Really?
fun.
I
I love how you describe Detroit on a dreary, rainy day. Like, I'm not in Detroit, but I'm close. I'm like within 2 hours of Detroit. And that is exactly the kind of day we are having right now. So
Yep.
I was totally feeling it.
I'm so glad you guys like that. But I do like writing. I like writing people with power and secrets and all that kind of fun stuff. So I think I'm going to have a little serial that happens in my newsletter, and it's going to have this kind of drama. It's going to be me exploring my, Alexis Carrington side, I guess, or something. So
I was just going to say Dynasty. Your Dynasty side.
I apparently didn't watch that show enough because I had no idea who you were talking about.
Yeah, I always have wanted to do a serial, but it's felt like a lot of pressure. And when I go over to Wattpad or something, it always seems like people have like these polished covers and all these. So I'm just going to do my own little thing in my own little newsletter, and it will be valuable for the people who subscribe. So Shell liked it. Yay. Thanks, Shell. She put awesome, Jamie, in the chat. That's nice. So I really appreciate, and I hope you guys like it. And I hope it's enticing enough for you to sign up for my newsletter when I finally get around to having it ready to go.
For certain.
You've got me.
Tune into newsletter chat.
Tuesday evenings at
Newsletter
8 on our Facebook page.
Newsletter chat.
And you won't want to miss the awesome jingle they have.
That's right.
All right, who's
Okay,
next?
Who's next? Yep.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Okay. Let me find it here. Dun-dun-dun. Okay. As soon as she walked into the room, she spotted him. This wasn't unusual since this happened every time she saw him. It's like Garrett had this hidden magnet, some unseen force that emanated from him, beckoning Amanda's eyes to lock on him, no matter how crowded the room was. She tried pretending that it wasn't a thing, this kismet gravitation that she couldn't control. But most of the time, he would catch her, their eyes locking, his crinkling in the corners with that arrogant, I see you noticing me, look. She hated it, and she kind of loved it. But today was different. Today she spotted him, yes, but for a different reason. There he stood, in the middle of a throng of women, signing autographs and laughing that well-rehearsed, phony laugh at whatever the nearest devotee had just drooled over him, looking very dapper in a casual, though Amanda knew very well, planned out, sort of way, in a brand new Adidas sweatshirt and Joe's jeans. The Adidas sweatshirt was obviously new, not only because the crispness of the cotton fabric screamed, I haven't been washed yet, but also because the sweatshirt still bore the long, silvery sticker emblazoned with the letter L and the numbers $59.99 all over it. It glimmered and sparkled in the reflection of the cameras going off all around him, obvious to everyone in the room, Amanda surmised. That is, except for the man sporting it. Garrett was clueless to the fact that he had not taken off the price tag. She wanted to tell him, but she knew he'd be embarrassed. No, she admitted, she really didn't want to tell him. Well, at least not now. Later, when the pictures hit the internet, she'd enjoy letting him in on the secret. He looked up and caught her staring at him. The knowing crinkles returned right before he winked at her. But this time, she returned the wink.
Ooh.
Mm. She got
Very
brave.
intriguing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it'll probably show up in one of my contemporaries. I don't know. I've got a contemporary floating out there about like a movie star, and I've got some sports ones coming up.
You
I don't know.
left them on the mountain. Oh, Jennifer wrote these people. First of all, the girl's name was Jamie, and she is awesome. Okay.
Mhm.
So Jennifer wrote them to go on this hike, and she's like, I don't know what they're doing after the hike. So she just abandoned me on this mountain. Although I am with a really cute guy, so I can't really complain. But she left Jamie, and was his name Jess?
Nope. Was it Jace?
Jason,
Like Jason, but he shortened it to Jace to be a star. Yeah.
And we're wandering around in the, I don't know, where are we, California or something. Yeah. It's not even me. It's a cooler Jamie than I will ever be. But the point is, contemporary Jen, we want to see a contemporary someday.
I know.
Someday.
Probably after or during. I think I'm going to do, when I start Widows of the West, I'm going to do Widows of the West, contemporary, Widows of the West, contemporary.
Nice.
I don't want to give up on my historical either, but thanks, Shell.
Yeah, I like your voice in both.
Oh, it's a different voice, right? Like it's completely different. So, yeah. All right, thanks.
Okay, I'll go next just so that I'm not talking for a huge amount of time at the end. So here goes. She wanted to tell him, but she knew he would be embarrassed. Sarah tried to look anywhere else other than at the piece of spinach lodged between his front teeth. Surreptitiously, she peeked at her coworkers sitting around the table. Not one of them was looking at the boss. They all knew but him. Would somebody say something? Without thinking, she began to run the thin fingernail of her pinky between her teeth, as if she could somehow dislodge the spinach from Mr. Abernathy's teeth. She realized Tim was staring at her from across the boardroom table, his expression a mix of horror and amusement. She suppressed a giggle and bent her head to write on her notepad, as if what Mr. Abernathy was saying was of great importance. Suddenly, it dawned on her that the room was ominously quiet. She looked up from her pad to find the whole room staring at her. Jen made a gesture with her hand like she was brushing something out of her hair. Tim was obviously trying not to laugh, his mouth hidden behind his hand. Mr. Abernathy was looking at her expectantly, his eyebrows raised. Could you please repeat the question? She asked. Mr. Abernathy smiled at her in the same way she smiled at her little boy when she was trying to explain something he just wasn't getting. Your hair, Miss Fontaine. You have something in your hair. She reached her hand up to the area he was pointing to, only to find herself with a handful of spit-up formula. Her face turned crimson, the expressions on the faces of her coworkers making her want to puke. She could just imagine what they were thinking. Her career is over. I knew she couldn't take care of a baby and be an executive too. She thinks she's Superwoman, but she's not. Why doesn't she just break down and hire a nanny? Sarah rose from her chair. "Excuse me," she said as she squeezed her way behind the chairs toward the door. "Of course," said Mr. Abernathy, smiling condescendingly at her with the spinach still stuck between his teeth.
Wow.
Wow.
Jen, you're muted.
Oh, I love that face, Jen.
Right. I love everything about this. I thought you said her name was Jen.
I did too.
So I was like super.
There is a Jen in
maybe
it.
you switch. Okay, so I got a little bit confused, but I love the whole idea, and I want you to write this book, and I want you, Sarah, to prove everybody wrong. Love it.
Okay, let's do a screen grab for the shocking reversal that happened in Tina's story. 3, 2, 1. Now we have a perfect screen grab for when you guys do the social media later this week. I've been thinking about it. Because Jen and Rhonda both are like, you guys, every time we go to look at the video, y'all are just staring. So I've been trying on purpose to be like, if you notice today, I've been paying extra attention to how I look when no one's supposed to be looking at me.
But I do love the thing that stands out to me the most that I love is that it was not acceptable to the boardroom or whatever that she had something in her hair, but everyone was willing to accept that he had something in his teeth.
Yeah.
Like that's our total, like I love like to explore that whole thing. Love that.
Yep.
Yeah, I like when you angry, right? Anyway, moving right along.
Hey, nobody threw eggs.
Oh, man. Good job, Tina. Very good. Very good.
Okay, Rhonda, it's your turn.
Okay. Well, this will be quick. Send. She did it. Finally smashed that stupid send button that's been taunting her for weeks. I deserve a nice hot bath, she said aloud to Killer, her faithful companion, who was quietly snoring on her lap. Convinced a bath was a good idea, she started to rise out of the chair, but lightning bolts of pain shot through her joints, causing her to gasp and fall back into the hard office chair. How long have I been sitting here? She looked at Killer for an answer, but he just returned her stare indignantly for the rough landing. He pranced off in the way only a Pomeranian can, ignoring her question. Her mouth dropped open as the time on the clock registered in her worn-out brain. 3 a.m.? I haven't moved in 5 hours, not even to get a brownie? The smell of warm chocolate still hung in the cool morning air. She mentally calculated how many hours of sleep that would leave her before having to present her report. Was sleep even possible with the knowledge of what she had to share with him today? She knew he had been embarrassed. The end.
Oh, no. Cliffhanger. Rhonda, you're famous for cliffhangers. I mean, yay. Good job. Only positive. Sorry. Oops. I mean, very wonderful cliffhanger, Rhonda.
Yeah. Hey, it's like 275 words. So
my favorite part.
I think it's a run out of time hanger.
Yes, that's right.
My favorite part about the 275 words is that the Pomeranian's name is Killer.
Yeah. She thinks.
Yes. I love that he pranced. Yes, the prancing Pomeranian is very nice. I loved it.
To his reputation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The prancing Pomeranian named Killer.
It's wonderful.
Okay, so now that we've all read our things, now the next transition is for our What's Next.
Before we go to what's next, we had a question right as we were going into that, and I just want us to touch on it real quick, and then we'll move into what's next. William J. says, what are the top social media platforms you recommend? I know you're looking into Pinterest later, but what ones do you have the best experience with? And we did have some response. Sage respond to him that there really is no one best one. It's whatever works for you, and I totally agree with that. Like I think that you kind of have to play around with them and figure out which ones will work for you, and then just run with them, or figure out where your platform is. Like for me, I really like Pinterest, so I'm going to be there. And my people are on Facebook, so I have to be a presence on Facebook, even though I don't enjoy it as much. But that has just come with trial and error. So
go ahead. Well, if William has not published, which I believe William has not published, it's a wonderful time to sort of figure this out, okay? Because everybody has their own personal job to do in this realm, like Jen said, and that's to find your readers. Now, if you need a writing community to support you and encourage you to get your butt in the seat, that's great. Go to Twitter and friend a bunch of authors with inspirational quotes. Otherwise, you need to do some real work when you go to your social media accounts and try to find out how to reach your readers. It's a puzzle everybody is trying to solve and crack. You need to find out, what do your readers like? If your readers like content about Alaska, post content about Alaska. Discover who would want to read your stuff and woo those people to become your social media friends. That's my advice, whichever platform you are going to continue with, because you don't want to start up 6 social media accounts only to abandon 4 of them because they're really just not your cup of tea. Take your time and do what you love.
So keep watching us. We're going to be talking about specifically each of the social media platforms over the next, few months or so. And just kind of see what you see with us and see what is interesting to you. But the number one thing you need to do is a newsletter first, a newsletter above all things, because you actually own that platform. You own those email addresses. So if that's something you haven't done yet, or you have questions on, Tuesday nights at 8, Jamie and I we do newsletter chat.
Newsletter chat.
We should play that. We should play that every week
Yes.
to give our, coming up this week on Tuesday at 8.
I'd like to say, too, that I've been doing a lot of research about social media for churches. And I think that the advice that was given about the best platform to be on is true here. You need to figure out where your audience is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an audience that's like under 20, you need to be on TikTok. If you have an audience that's between 20 and maybe 35, you need to be on Instagram. If your audience is older than 40, then you need to be on Facebook. And I'm not sure what the age range is on Twitter. But you need to really research where your people are that you're writing your book for, or that you think will be interested in reading your book. So if I was writing a children's book, I would not want to know where all the young mothers are on social media. And that's where I would want to focus all my energy.
Yes,
Yeah.
and go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say, I hear over and over again that Pinterest is a place for children's books, for authors of children's books.
Yeah, and I just want to stick a big fat asterisk on the end of all of this advice and put at the end of that asterisk, after you have done your daily writing.
Yes.
Don't get all built up to sell a book you haven't even written yet. Get your butt in the chair and write the book first. Hello. Take some time and carve it out if you want to pursue social media. But don't become someone who's a writer with 1,000 followers and is still kind of in the baby step journey to publication. Get the book written and ready to publish, right?
That should have been our number one social media etiquette
Yeah.
rule. We should have talked about that first. So, okay. So back to what's next. Sorry, Tina.
Okay, I'm going to go first just because I want to talk about the Write It Better contest that we had this week. So I was thinking, this whole thing is not going to work. I'm going to have to stop doing it because we had no entries. And then we had a late entry from Jamie, and then we had an entry yesterday from Jen. But then this morning I looked on here, and Robin Sardi has entered the contest and apparently brought 5 new people except for Sage.
Nice.
That I've never heard their names before. Oh, it's up to 7 now.
Wow.
7 people have voted
That's
for
awesome.
Robin Sardi. And
Wow.
all of them, except for Sage, are new names to me. So I am excited. And
Way to go, Robin.
Robin totally gets bragging rights this week.
Hey,
For
That's
Write
awesome.
It Better.
Today.
She's not
But
even here.
yeah, she heard on the repeat, hopefully.
But
And
I
hopefully
encourage
she'll play-
everyone to go over there and read what she wrote and what Jen and Jamie wrote also.
Yeah, and
What
hopefully
time are you
she'll
doing
play.
the drawing?
What drawing?
We're not drawing, the counting of the hearts.
Don't we do it
I
live?
just
Or you
did.
Right now, she just did it. We lost.
I just did. Robin
Oh.
has 7.
She has 8 now.
Jennifer
Just
has
saying.
2, and Jamie had 1.
Yeah,
Why did I
Rhonda.
get 2? Mine was bad.
I'm so sorry I missed it.
Or maybe it was Jamie that had 2 and Jennifer had 1. I don't remember. No, but anyway.
All I have to say is everyone should go and take a crack at that because it helps to grow your writing muscle. Don't you want to be a better writer? So you have better writing to offer to your rabid fans. Yes, you do. So
And we want to read it.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, who's next?
Wait, we didn't tell us what your next is, though. What are you doing? You
Oh.
you give us this great announcement at the beginning of the episode and tell us, "Yay, I'm done with that."
Well-
What's next, Tina?
I need to do a couple read-throughs, one where I read it myself and one where I have it read to me, just to double check it, triple check, and
Read it
quadruple
aloud
check.
to yourself. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And then I need to make an author copy, apparently, and send it off to be proofread.
Wow.
So exciting.
Very
Yay.
exciting. It's a great story, Tina. Can't wait till I can tell my friends to all go pick up a copy. So this week is doing that stuff for you.
Yep.
So
How
when
much
you're in
time are you
office
putting
hours,
between your two readings?
What's that?
How much time are you putting between your two readings, the audio and the actual reading?
I don't know. I haven't decided that yet.
I usually don't. I would read it aloud and then I just do the audio or vice versa right after one another. Because you're at the end stage, like you're fine tuning it right now. So you're looking for things like one of the things I found was I thought I typed breathe, but it was breath. And every time I read it, I was reading breathe, even though I knew that's not how you spelled it. But in my mind told me. And then when I heard the computer say it, I was like, oh wait, whoops. And so things like that is what you'll find. So you don't really need to. I don't think personally you don't need to have a break. So
Yeah, I hopefully won't take a break because I'd just like to get this thing done.
well, since Tina's talking editing, I'll go next because mine is editing as well. I told you guys last week that my what's next was I was going to crack open Sarah's book. I was nervous about it, but I was going to go ahead and do it and start working on that while Phoebe's story was with the editor. And I opened it up and I love it. Like it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work, but I love these characters and I am so excited that I really have confidence that I can turn this around and have 2 books out before the end of the year. So again, this week I'm going to work some more on my newsletter. That's going really well. I don't want to give updates on that because we do that during newsletter chat. But if you're looking for like how to promote and how to grow your newsletter, I'm like, we've got some great stuff, great advice. So make sure you come for that. But yeah, so I'm going to be working in Sarah's story some more. I've already done like 9 chapters this week of editing that. So that's very exciting for me. So that's what I'm doing this next week.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the same reaction you had when you reread your first story the first time, right?
Yeah. Well, the one with Warren?
No, your Phoebe story.
Oh no, that was not the same reaction. No,
So
no,
the
no, no,
first
no.
book you wrote wasn't as good as the 4th book that you wrote?
Oh, no, not at all. Like I love the characters, but no, the 3rd book, because it was the first book I wrote, was rough and it was tough. And it took me over a year, way over a year. So yeah. Good advice though. I see what you're doing there, Rhonda. We all go through it. Your first book is never as good.
I was like, is this a trick question?
Piper says her what's next is that the counter people are here to measure for her new soapstone counter. Ooh, and the floor will be finished tomorrow. So the kitchen is dispersed throughout the house, but we'll be back tomorrow. That's great. So then you get back to life
Yay.
as normal. So
Yeah.
Shell says her what's next. We're moving and sorting. Need to work on an outline for a short story. Have a house guest coming next week, so cleaning the spare room. Brian's
Basically, it's nothing to do.
right. Well, his what's next have 11 days off of work. Right.
Wow.
That's awesome, Brian. Get some good writing
That's
in.
awesome.
Yeah. Who's next?
It has to be Rhonda.
It
Or
has
Jamie.
to be me. Okay, so what's next for me is more social media. So this is the way that my faulty brain works. I've learned over the last couple of years is that I need to, if I'm learning something new, I really need to just figure it out and take a little bit of time to do that and not rush myself. Because once I get the basic idea in my mind, it's there forever, and then I can create my own work plan process. Yes. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. The last 2 weeks, I've been just renewing my knowledge of social media and trying to get on there. So I'm so excited that this week it's going to be not a deluge of social media, but you'll be aware of our presence. And
I'm really excited, Rhonda, because I know that once you get into a good groove, you're going to have so much fun doing that.
Yep. I'm already at that point. Yep.
Yeah. It's going to become kind of part of your day to kind of to go and do that stuff. Yeah. I know you're going to really have fun.
Because I love Instagram and Pinterest. They are something I do a lot. Anyway, I mean, just perusing it for myself. And so I like getting on there. I like the people that are on those 2 platforms. And anyway, so I'm going to try to get on Twitter. Blech, I don't like it, but
then don't do it.
Okay.
We just gave you permission, Rhonda.
We
Thank
gave
you.
permission.
Yeah, don't do it and see if you even miss it. I mean, you can maybe sell 1 billion books and never have a Twitter platform.
That'd be awesome. That'll be my goal.
I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I told William J. Newsletter. That should really, along with your social media, that's what you got to
Yes.
focus on.
Yeah. I
Well,
should focus on
hand
that
in
too.
hand with that is your website, really. And especially if you're going to be blogging. I mean, for a while you were trying to do searching for Mr. Anderson, right? So you need to make some choice about how you want to brand and where you want to send people to sign up for your newsletter, right? So
Right.
anyway, not to give you a whole big to-do list. You weren't asking. Sorry about that. But
No, that's
Right,
okay, 'cause
sorry.
really I do.
yeah. So it's just all hand in hand, right? Because when I went to go do my social media, I had to make sure my buttons were leading to the right places on my website and all that kind of stuff. I had 2 platforms I was trying to merge into one. And I get it, Rhonda, because you're like me. You'll work over here and then keep what sticks. So I had a lot of like launching and discarding of projects that weren't working, whatever. So all that back end work, I get it. You're doing that, and then you're going to be coming out to fight, because that's where I've been, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, should I just go into mine, or I'm sorry, did I
Do.
roll Rhonda? Okay. Let's talk about newsletter chats with Jamie and Jen every Tuesday. With Jamie and Jen.
If you don't know why that's so funny, it's because you haven't watched Newsletter Chat yet.
I mean, seriously,
It's pretty much standalone funny.
here is why I played that. Like, so did you just hear that smooth jazz beautifulness? I gotta say, shout out to Fiverr. Okay, everybody says stay away from Fiverr. You're gonna get ripped off on Fiverr. But Jen and I wanted to do a fun jingle for our newsletter chat, and so I reached out. I'm like, I'm gonna see what I could get for a $5 situation. Granted, I tipped, and there's a service fee, so I ended up, but out of pocket, not even $15 for something really cute and fun for us to play during newsletter chat. So I want to get as much mileage out of it as I can. So if I can play it this week, or, to promote things, I will. But what's next for me really is Jen gave me homework for newsletter chat. I'm ready to start collecting subscribers for my newsletter. So I have been doing all that stuff that I was just telling everybody about. I've changed the focus of like writing shorts. So I've had to go and like archive some things and switch everything around. But the bottom line is all of the work that I have been doing for these years is like about to pay off, I feel like. So I'm just very optimistic about the next few months of my career. I'm waiting for some covers. I'm waiting for some interior, but I'm going to be launching some more stuff and leading up to a big novel launch, hopefully spring of next year, hopefully before March 14th. But that's the hard deadline because that is my anniversary. So that's the deadline I'm giving myself to have my current work in progress launched. My first novel.
The cool thing too, like if you've missed any of our newsletter chats and you want to get started with a newsletter, you can go back and watch that. All the Facebook lives are still on our Facebook page. You just go back and watch the old ones.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you got to hand it to this guy. He did a really great job. And, every time we hear it, we just want to, jam. I mean, listen to that. And then you can talk over it with a low voice. Isn't that fun?
It's almost as good as the one I came up with first.
Oh my gosh, you should have heard the raw material this guy had to work with. Jen was even like cracking up while she was recording it. So anyway, tune in for newsletter chat and we can help you guys decide what to put in your newsletter. That's all from me.
Look for the next Write It Better coming out later this afternoon.
Yep. And Shell says, I'm really excited for the Pinterest chat next week. Me too, because it's really going to be us on the journey with you guys. We are not masters at it, but we're learning, and we're going to have some challenges for ourselves as well as for each of you. So we're excited too.
Okay. Is there anything else in the chat we want to share, or any final thoughts anyone wants to put out there? Okay. So this concludes the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. So until next week, may your pen be prolific, your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.